Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace. Hey guys, just finished watching Legion, Season 2, Episode 11, Chapter 19. What an ending to this season. I mean, the ending is so good, such a good episode. It's interesting to see where things are going to go. Let's jump into this. I have some kind of worries about their kind of retreading that looks like they're setting up to keeping Farouk on as the same villain for Season 3. But hopefully they don't do that and they can change things around. So we'll see where things are going to go with this. So I like the way they're going, but I don't like where they're going at the same time. But let's get into the step-by-steps of this episode and get into it, break this episode down, and then we'll get into that at the end of there. So David, we start off with David singing "Blue Eyes," "Behind the Blue Eyes" by The Who, which is really cool. It was a great song, and it was really cool seeing him doing that. He's singing up, and Farouk is there also, and they're about to fight. They have like a cool cartoon battle, which is really an interesting idea. It was looked really cool, looked really cinematic, and it was really interesting to see the way they did that stuff. They're fighting around, and then Lenny. We see Lenny is still waiting around in the desert with her sniper, and she ends up shooting the tuning fork, which ends up taking away their powers from the fight, temporarily taking away their powers, and so they have no more powers as they start fighting physically and stuff. Then we jump 3 years later, or we see a video that looks like it's from 3 years in the future, with Melanie and Oliver stuck in the ice and them dealing with talking about that. So that was interesting there. And David ends up beating Farouk to a bloody pulp with his bare hands with a rock and stuff. And that's when Sid shows up, starts pointing a gun at him, and that's when she's it's such an interesting thing. She's pointing at a gun at him. She tells David that he's the end of the world. He's the threat that the future Sid was sending him to do. The whole thing that the future Sid wanted him to help Farouk find his body so that Farouk could stop him, since he is the future's threat and all that stuff. So that was quite interesting seeing that. Then we see Sid, and then Sid ends up shooting David, or she shoots the gun and it goes blank, and we see David waking up in his childhood room where he's seeing other versions of him talking to himself and trying to change his mind and stuff. And then we go back, we see that Lenny actually shot. She tried to shoot David. No, she tried to shoot Sid. She was pointing, her sights were on Sid, and then she ends up shooting, and the bullet hits the bullet that Sid shot, so she ends up saving David type thing. And it was unclear. It looked like it was kind of the way she reacted. She was like, damn it, didn't mean to do that. And maybe Farouk lying there curved the bullet, which is not the first time we've had that in the X-Men universe. If you check the curvedbullet.com, I think that was actually reference to Magneto in Days of Future Past. He actually was blamed for shooting for the killing of JFK. That he actually curved the bullet in that stuff when he actually didn't, so he was blamed for that in Days of Future Past. So it's probably not connected there, but it's just maybe something like that where Farouk kind of curved the bullet to maybe move the bullet over to hit that bullet type thing. It was quite cool seeing that, or maybe Lenny just really missed that coincidentally. And then Carrie arrives at Division 3, and they end up taking Farouk, putting the crown on him and trying to taking him into custody, turning off his powers. And David ends up making Sid think that, it makes Sid wake up by changing her mind so that she's in love with him type thing. I'm making her think it's all a dream type thing. That was really cool with the way they played with that stuff. Farouk tells David that, because he did that, he's just going to make her sick, and she's not going to believe him. He's pushing her away by doing that type thing. And that's when Carrie ends up finding what David did to Sid. He ends up looking inside. I guess he looks inside of her head, but it's unclear what he's really doing. What he uses the tech, I guess, to try and read David's mind or Sid's mind and seeing what's going on. And he ends up seeing that, he planted those. He's trying to control her a little bit, whereas he thinks he's just, declouding her mind. That's what David thinks he's doing. So it's unclear really as to what he's doing. If is he in the right? Is he in the wrong? What's going on? That's really dealing with that. And then we get those cards where they say if all the apples are what does it say here? I have a picture of it. If all the apples are bad, then which one is, the sane man is the one who's crazy type thing. If all the apples are bruised, then the only one is crazy. So I think that's a quite interesting idea to see. So I guess it seems like Farouk is kind of controlling them because they end up all trapping David in that bubble type thing. We see Farouk walking free, as if he was just let free. So it's unclear if he broke free or if he was let out, but it looks like he was let out more or less. And they wanted to send David back to the psych ward and stuff. And then David breaks free, and they try to kill him as he decides to break free. They try to pump him with gas and stuff in the bubble. And it doesn't work. He ends up breaking free, and they end up going. That's where he disappears. He goes to get Lenny, and they both disappear together, and he's done with Sid type thing. So I think that's an interesting idea, like where things are going with this. I didn't see that coming. I think it's really going to be cool to see. I guess they knew that they were having a season 3 because I'm pretty sure there is. I remember seeing that online a while back. I'll definitely put it in the video or here on the screen if it's not, but I'm pretty sure we got a season 3, and if we didn't get a season 3 with this type of ending, I would need something, even if they put out a short video, a short movie, rather than a full-on season. I need some sort of closure to finish that season, because what a cliffhanger there. That is awesome. I really like the way things are going with this, but at the same time, I really don't. I'm tired of having David being the villain. Like, I feel like we did that in season 1. Now it's just he's not the villain. He's not the villain. He's more of the victim of here. If everyone else is affected, maybe by Farouk, and then having David be the only clear person. Is he bad? Like the card said, if all the apples are bad, is the one that's good, the one that's crazy type thing. So I think that's really going to be an interesting idea to play with that and to see where that goes for season 3. So we'll have to wait and see where things turn around for that. How does things are going to go? I mean, the idea of having Farouk again being the villain for season 3 is what it looks like. That just kind of annoys me because it feels like we've seen that before, and I feel like they're treading. It's very different and interesting the way they're playing with all this stuff, but it's just keeping the same villain over and over and over again. It just gets boring. Rather than there's the X-Men, licensing and stuff. There's so many X-Men characters out there in the comics that they could go after. And then you could use different characters and play different stuff in different ways with it all. I think that could be a more interesting idea rather than just playing with Farouk again and again and again and again. I feel like there's more characters out there, and there's ways to do this. Instead of having the same character over again, it's kind of like the same idea of Flash and Reverse Flash, or Flash, the season of Flash, how the first few seasons were all the same character, were all the same. Speedster, someone's faster. It's the Bizarro to Superman. It's the quite opposite character. So I think it's just kind of having the same powers. It just kind of gets a little, to me, it's getting a little repetitive. Still gonna watch the show, not gonna stop it or anything like that because it's still such a good show. But I just would hope that they can do something different for season 3. So we'll see where things go with this, and how things go for season 3. And where things continue on, but it's really going to be fun to see where things here. So here's I got the picture there. If all the apples are bruised, then it's the unbruised apple that is bad type thing. So I think that's really an interesting idea, and I think that's really going to be cool to see where that storyline, how that stays to be the storyline, if that stays the storyline for the whole season 3. I think that could be quite cool to see that and see where things go with all that. But at the same time, I'd like to see a different villain, like I said, other than having Farouk all the whole time. So it's really going to be cool to see where things go with this. I'm really excited to see how things continue on and see maybe the team up of David and Lenny and how that's going to build up, but also the relationship between David and Sid, how that's really going to be fixed. Hopefully, it doesn't just get fixed right away. It would be cool to see someone else kind of builds up as things go on. Maybe there's stuff left over, so it would be cool to see. Maybe we get a whole new villain for season 3, and beginning for in the first episode, that the whole new villain ends up killing Shadow King right away. Someone who's more powerful, someone who's has more options or something like that. Could be quite cool. I've always thought that Mojo would be a quite cool character for for Legion and stuff, since he's able to since he runs like a gladiatorial battle out in outer space and stuff. Maybe he could have someone who comes up and just ends up taking out Farouk or something, and David and all his friends end up getting picked up and thrown into some gladiatorial battles and stuff. And that's where the team, we pick up season 3 maybe with finding out that David is left, and he's been captured, or not captured, but he's with Mojo, and he's kind of he's captured by Mojo, and he's kind of doing gladiatorial battles and just fighting and killing off people and winning championships and ruling over that by being one of their strongest characters. I think that could be an interesting idea, keeping with him as maybe as the villain. And then seeing where things are going to go with that. So I think it could be cool to see where things go with this for season 3. But I think the idea of retreading, Farouk as the villain a third time, and retreading that David as the villain again, is something that I don't want to redo too much. It feels like it's getting repetitive at this time. It's getting kind of annoying. But if they can do it in a way that's if maybe everyone starts to realize that they were the bad apples and he was the one good one type thing, they were affected maybe by Farouk. I think that could be an interesting idea to see where things go with something like that, and to see how that could play into the fallouts of that could play into season 3 with a whole different villain. Could be quite interesting to see that. But it looks like they're just going to keep Farouk. It looks like from this they would keep Farouk around for season 3, and so we'll see where things go with that. But I think the idea of opening up like a first scene in next season is someone just killing off immediately Farouk. Could be an interesting idea to see that, but having the leftover effect still in everyone else's head, so they still see David as the villain and all that stuff. They're still left over, and everything's still kind of all the effects doesn't just disappear with everyone, since he turned everyone still on David and stuff. And I think that could be an interesting idea to see that, and how if they're all turned on David and then they have to go out and save him maybe from someone like Mojo or something like that, could be an interesting character to play with and see a different version, and see David going up against different characters that are not the Bizarro to his Superman type thing, the Reverse Flash to his Barry Allen type thing. So I think it would be see someone with a different power set combined would definitely be a cool thing to see. So all in all, I'm really excited to see where things go with this for season 3. I'm really excited to see this. It was a great episode, and I'm really interested to see where things go for the next season. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below. What do you think about it, about season 2 episode 11 chapter 19, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.